Now to our starting lineups. First, the Bulldogs of Wingate University. At defense, a freshman from Neustadt, Holland, number 2, Floris Vanderbruggen. At defense, a sophomore from Schiltal, Germany, number 3, Nicholas Witte. At defense, a sophomore from Montgomery, New York, number 4, Devin Scully. At defense from York, England, a sophomore, number 6, Owen Marshall. At midfield, a freshman from Sao Paulo, Brazil, number 8, Pedro Santos. At midfield from Hamburg, Germany, number 9, Daniel Cooper. At midfield, a sophomore from Solrød Strand, Denmark, number 10, Nicole Fallen Brun. At forward, a junior from Herning, Denmark, number 11, Sauron Nygaard. At defense, a freshman from Drammen, Norway, number 19, Sverre Åland. At midfield, a freshman from Sao Carlos, Brazil, number 26, Fabio Rodriguez. And in goal for the Bulldogs, a sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina, number 24, Jamie Vogel. The head coach of the Bulldogs is Gary Hamill. His associate is Harry Crosby. The assistants are Sam Raper and Axel Jewell. And now, introducing your Queens Royals. At midfield, redshirt junior from Graz, Austria, number 4, Boris Basara. At defense, a grad student from London, England, number 5, Kieran Gore. At forward, a redshirt senior from Salvador, Brazil, number 9, Felipe Mendonca. At forward, a grad student from Cardiff, Wales, number 11, Elvis Maniesta. At midfield, a sophomore from Newcastle, England, number 14, Joe Lilly. At defense, a senior from Greensboro, North Carolina, number 15, Caleb Patch. Let's go, Caleb! At forward, a redshirt senior from Sao Paulo, Brazil, number 17, Andre Castro. At midfield, a grad student from Barcelona, Spain, number 21, David Alvarez. At defense, a grad student from Parauapebas, para Brazil, number 22, Manuel dos Passos. At defense, a freshman from St. Petersburg, Florida, number 26, Samuel Edinge. And in goal for the Royals, a freshman from Næstved, Denmark, number 30, Nikolai Anderson. The head coach of the Royals is Oliver Correas. He is assisted by Alberto Morales and Sergio Lemus. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the match. Officials, the match is yours. The South Atlantic Conference and NCAA encourage and promote good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators.
Well, welcome back. Here at Dixon Field, the Queens Sports Network is match number 2 of our Wednesday evening doubleheader between Queens and Wingate. Well, the Queens Royals enter 1-1 after perhaps the most entertaining and most tumultuous comeback effort we have seen in the last few years under the head coach Oliver Correas. They were down 3-1 against Clayton State and rallied back to 2 goals in the last 5 minutes while down a player to win in double overtime 4-3. The Royals 1-1. They welcome in Wingate, also 500. The Bulldogs, the 10th ranked team in the Southeast region. They are 2-2, riding a 2-match win streak in wins over Francis Marion and Shaw, and this is the South Atlantic Conference opener. for both teams. It's Mike Foyles and Kat B. and Cardi on the call, alongside our outstanding Queen Sports Network crew. We have field hockey finishing up over on our other channel, and we are just about ready for kickoff this evening. Well, it's the Queens team that things really weren't looking too good to start the season after a 3-1 loss to Belmont Abbey. They were trailing 3-1 to Clayton State, and then things changed really quickly on that unreal comeback effort in the win over Clayton State.
It was definitely an epic battle all the way down to the golden goal, Mike. And I'm excited to see how this Queens team responds after having a week off.
One thing they would like to shore up a little bit is their defense. They've allowed 3 goals in both matches, and last year was a little bit of a problem too, averaged to allow nearly 2.5 goals per match. That was 11th out of 12 teams in the South Atlantic Conference. And when it comes to scoring, they have had so much success from Felipe Mendonca, who's got 4 goals already, 3 of them in that win over Clayton State. He's really led this attack and carried this team so far. So the Royals would like to see an all-around effort and a pivotal match to start conference competition.
Yeah, speaking of that defensive side of the ball with the keeper, that freshman should feel really good about himself after his performance against Clayton State. He should have definitely a sense of confidence after the shots that he made, shots that he saved. And entering this match, he should definitely be able to speak up and be more of a leader.
It's a Wingate team that scored 6 goals in its last 2 matches. A team that prides itself on what they can do defensively. They average to allow less than 1 goal per match. A team that has had a whole lot of success under Gary Hamill in his 30th season at Wingate. He's got 352 career wins, and they send it into the box. It's knocked away. Royals try to control it and run down.
Yeah, anytime a ball gets in the air, Mike, in soccer inside the penalty box, it's dangerous. Anything could happen in the air. And good old Wingate did a nice job of capitalizing and getting the ball out. And now they're really accelerating down the field. And Keaton Gore, along with Anderson, has to be really on top of things.
That shot attempt, yep, sails right over the crossbar. So a whole lot of action here early. It's Floris Vanderbruggen in goal for Wingate, the freshman from Holland. He earns the start in his first start of this season. As it has been Jamie Bogle who has been starting up to this point, but
just right there, Mike, when they're in the defensive third, the defense and Anderson as a keeper has to communicate what's going to go on. If he either has the ball or the defense is going to follow it out. I would like to see Anderson just step up a little bit more in that leadership aspect.
So first corner opportunity for the Bulldogs in the Road Navy, headed away by the Royals.
Focusing really right now, Wingate is just trying to contain the ball, play keep away, keep the ball really nice on the ground. But I love to hear the communication between both teams. It's awesome. And right now, Queens is going to be able to settle the ball down and try to get right over there to Elvis. It's going to be a hard one to settle down over there on the sideline, but still a good idea to try to switch the point of attack.
Yeah, Alvarez, a former all-conference player, looking for Menayese, who had the game winner in that win over Clayton State. A couple of veterans, a team that has plenty of veterans and plenty of contributors coming back from the last few years, where Queens in 2019, really successful season, won a match in the NCAA tournament, went 7-3 for a share of the conference championship. And last year did not go as planned, 2-5, 2-4 in sack play. But they returned 14 of 15 contributors, of their top contributors from a year ago. And we're still seeing them all kind of come into form here in the third match of the season as it goes out of play off of Vitur. And Queens will throw in from the near sideline.
Speaking of that performance, Mike, that was just not what Queens wanted in the previous season. That's something that both captains Keegan Burton and Kieran Gore told me during media day, that they know that it did not go the way that they wanted to in the springtime, and that being placed 6th overall in the preseason for the SAC is not something that they're proud of, but it definitely gives them something to prove and have a little bit of an edge on their shoulder.
Yeah, Gore, a veteran who's been captain of that defensive unit. And Keegan Burton out with injury. And the team that was picked to win the South Atlantic Conference was this team, Wingate. As Queens tries to get out of its own territory and send it along the near sideline. They get it to Andre Castro, working it out of their own backyard. Goes to Vanderbrug.
I definitely noticed, Mike, that Wingate has definitely had more possession over the ball in terms of being able just to keep the ball away from Queens. So I'd like to see them step up Queens in terms of just continuing to maintain possession and keep the ball on the ground and pass to their teammates. Right here is an opportunity, Mike, where the freshman Anderson can get the ball right back to his team, keep it on the ground, and keep that possession. But Wingate's going to put a lot of pressure up high. I mean, you got your striker all the way on top of that keeper. They're here to play.
Yeah, it's a Wingate team coming off such a stellar campaign, 7-1-1. They were the SAC tournament champions rather, and didn't get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament because nobody did in the adjusted spring season, but they have their sights set on a lot more. This is a team where Coach Hamill says they are not just looking to win games here, they're looking to win championships, and they feel like they're a nationally relevant program. And this year, after a couple losses against some of the teams from the South region, they've looked like they're coming into form. Here's a shot attempt, and it's Anderson who dives on it after that attempt from Sauron Nygaard.
And Sauron is definitely going to be the dangerous weapon that Wingate will use in the attacking third. He's been their powerhouse scorer for their entire squad, and definitely that Danish boy's got to watch out for him up there.
Yeah, 17 shot attempts for Nygaard so far this year. 1 goal, 1 assist to his name.
The season just started, Mike. I mean, that's a lot of shot attempts right there.
That is a lot. Now, I think he's getting a run from his money from Mendonca, who has 15 shot attempts, 4 goals. So 2 of the best offensive weapons we've seen this season, and one of them is down at the moment. That's Mendonca, the Richard Sr. from Brazil.
Yeah, and you never want to see someone go down early in the match. It's just not good, especially with the head injuries. You have to just be careful. I think it's really important that these guys just continue to, play their very best, but you never want to play hurt.
Right, Mendonca stays in. Looks like he
rubs some dirt on it.
Yeah.
There's no dirt because
he rubs some turf on it.
Yeah, turf on it. Rub some turf on it. Good old tires. Right here, when it's trying to use the sideline, that's just really important for them to be able to get inside the box. But I guess looks like right here, Queens is really just trying to say not in our defensive third. They want to get the ball out.
They go back to the goalkeeper, Anderson.
You can tell that Gore, as one of the leaders in the back, is really trying to motivate his young keeper to be accountable and to be vocal and to take initiative and not be afraid. I will give Gore some big old credit in the game against Clayton State. He had some major stops in the defensive third that because of his ability to get in front of the ball, he made shots not turn into goals. And I just would like to see Anderson just continue to step up. Right here, right now, Mike, we got a free kick going on, and this is dangerous for any type of soccer team because this is something that you get started early in the season of knowing what to do with the ball when you get a free pass.
Kieran Gore, nice defensive effort. Queens trying to get it out of its own third. Wingate possession. There's Nygaard out for Vitur. Pedro Santos for Nygaard.
It's just good old keep away right there. Queens is really trying to get on top of the ball, but I really have to give Wingate some credit the way that they're keeping possession, keeping their play 1 to 2 touches, and still remaining in possession of the ball. That's not easy to do. Oh, right here, hopefully this opportunity to be able to go down the sideline would be beautiful.
Yep, Alvarez leads his man. Chance to cross it here. Here comes the cross, knocked away by Scully. The cross came from Castro. Nice defensive effort by the Bulldogs and now looking to counter.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked to see Queens really capitalize being right there outside of their penalty box. That I felt like there was a little bit of delay time that I would have liked to have seen a little bit more urgency and intensity with getting that ball on the ground versus just giving Wingate opportunity and time to gather the ball and gain possession.
Yeah, the offside call on Nygaard after that Queens attack.
You know, one of my favorite players to watch here on this field, Mike, is good old Elvis. He plays with such enthusiasm and energy.
His reaction to scoring the golden goal was priceless, and he ran right toward the cameras, so we got a good picture of it and a good video we got to put together on the Queen Sports Network for Elvis Meneses. He's a fun guy, plays a lot of emotion, a lot of enthusiasm. And Bogel just kind of knocks it down the near sideline. So a throw in for Queens as Jamie Bogel gets the start for Wingate. He wasn't the starter coming into the season, but he's going to make his 5th start of the season. And so far, so good for him. 82% save percentage this year for the Bulldogs. Queens gets it into Meneses. Gets his jersey tugged. And just sends it back out for Manuel Dos Passos.
So a couple of some Queens fans not happy about that little bit of that pull, but the refs letting them play. They want to be able to be physical, and it's play on, it's play on.
Yeah, two teams not far from each other, just about a 40-minute drive for Wingate to get here, and nice decision to knock it away by Nikolai Anderson.
That's exactly the type of initiative that I was talking about earlier, Mike, of going up to it, not being afraid, and just truly channeling your whatever animal is your animal. I mean, like, maybe he's a mad dog, maybe he's a cheetah, I don't know, a shark, but he just really comes up there and isn't afraid of going to attack the ball, and even if it's just sending it down on the other side.
I imagine just for a freshman, still finding his role on this team and trying to settle into that goalie position as a freshman.
Oh, it's definitely something not easy at all. I think that as a keeper, you're always just kind of expected, and that's part of the job, right? You're expected, even as a freshman, if you're the starting keeper, to have to step up and be vocal, and that's why I see Gore keeping him accountable, and I like that. And I'm glad that he's executing just even in this game.
Yeah, it's good to have a senior defender like Kieran Gore out there to kind of bring you along if you're a freshman goalkeeper. Freshman from Denmark.
Another Danish boy.
Yep. A lot of international players from both sides. And a Wingate program that is just a national power. 4 SAC tournament titles in 6 years. Queens does have 2 regular season co-championships in 2018 and 2019.
So what a beautiful execution of having your body behind the ball by Gore.
Yeah, Gore read that one perfectly, got in front of it. Nearly 14 minutes in this scoreless start.
Just right then, Mike, I really hate to see that a beautiful pass just be given away to the other team, especially when you use the sideline. There was a little bit of a lack of communication by Queens, and I would have liked to see good old Felipe just talk a little bit more if he wanted that ball at the top.
Scully leads Vautour, who crosses it. It's deflected and goes back to Queens.
That was another one. Gore was in the right place at the right time.
He's able to get it to Joe Lilly, and now Gore will...
They're going to try to switch the point of attack here, Mike. Just really kind of play at their own pace. I would like to see them use this sideline and to be able to cover ground. And right now I could see them wanting to, like right here, shift the point of attack to be able to get up and get forward. They're playing with a pretty solid back of having 4 in the back. And when you play with 4 in the back, that means you're having more of a defensive mindset because you're having to protect the goal and the box. And I know those defenders are working pretty dang hard back there.
Yeah, just a 47% save percentage last season. And this year, just 50%. So they're trying to protect a young goalkeeper just a little bit more as he comes along and gets into form in his first season here at Queens. But last year was a similar problem. It was a team that could score goals that were among middle of the conference in scoring, if not better, but they allowed nearly 2.5 per game.
Just right there, Mike, you heard a nice little sound and a ooh-ah from the crowd when Queens did a nice job of following up with the ball, and that's something that is really important to do, especially when you're a top striker, of being active.
And they lead Vautour. Vautour with Gore on him takes a shot and is just wide of the diving Anderson, and a goal kick ensuing for Queens.
Gore did a nice job shielding the ball and pushing Wingate to the outside, and a beautiful save attempt though by Anderson. He did a nice job of covering that ball as well. You can see right here that Queens is really falling more focused with the importance of playing the ball and keeping possession. The keeper's not taking the goal kicks, and that's because probably, just like you've mentioned, the importance of the freshman keeper being settled in and relying on that defense. Right as this point is about to approach, they're quickly going to play the ball with that free kick. There's no time to waste.
Here's Alvarez, one of their top goal scorers from a couple years ago. Second team all-conference last year.
I like how Alvarez is on top of the ball and aggressive. Look how much, I mean, you just sprint right there about 20 yards, and this is going to go in his favor, hopefully. That effort is just that second chance effort is the kind of attitude and mentality you want to kind of have with your leadership and especially your goal scorers.
Yeah, and then it was Devin Scully, an all-conference selection, who was able to knock it away, make a nice defensive effort for the Bulldogs. So now they get it into Queens' third.
Elvis has a man on, but he's getting ready to have to really got that ball taken away. And that's hard when you're the only person right there and you got 3 guys behind you. Queens is trying to readjust themselves, Mike, and get into position because Wingate is continually to play very high, very close. And right around here is where they're going to try to decide, okay, we're going to switch the point of attack over to the other side, or are we going to try to keep things more central? They are what we call recycling the ball, meaning going back, forth, down their back line until they decide what they want to do. I'd like to see them right about now try to get past the our logo here and make a decision on what they want to do with the ball.
Dos Passos sends it down the field, was looking for Andre Castro, and then Bogle sends it away. Keeping it in play for Wingate is Vautour. Joe Lilly. Here's Boris Basara, finds Castro. Castro trying to fend off Olin, and then the shot attempt just wide of the diving Bogle.
I loved his ability to get the ball and choose to decide, hey, I'm going for this shot. He wasn't waiting around anymore, and I think that's the type of urgency that you want to start seeing from your guys as we're approaching, the halfway point.
That shot attempt from Castro. A transfer from High Point. He's playing in his second game this season.
I think it's very important to emphasize the ability to use any type of free kick, whether that be direct or indirect. That's just an opportunity to get a free pass. And right here, Queens once again recycled the ball back to their goalkeeper, Anderson. But I would like to see them really just push on an upward, to be able to just be on Wingate's, so they can be on their attacking third and get some chances on the net. Got a nice crowd out here tonight, Mike. Lots of energy by the students I see.
Well, it's a nice night. It was a hot day that turns into a pleasant evening in this doubleheader. It was a little more pleasant now than it was earlier, and that's kind of how it is. People get off from work for the catch the latter end of the 5 p.m. kickoff women's match, and then a little more spectators for the 7:30, and plenty of students line up along the fence right outside the near sideline as Alvarez tangled up with Pedro Santos.
Yeah, he was at a point where he was playing very aggressive, but he just couldn't. No one was there for him, and he couldn't just keep the ball in possession of himself. But I liked his aggression. I liked the way that he was playing physical and using his arms against the defense.
Castro deflected that one out of play. It's a throw in from the near sideline. 24 and a half minutes left to go in this first half. No score.
I've been very impressed overall with Wingate's and Queen's ability to play 1-2 touches. But we got a little bit of heat right now here on the field, Mike.
And we got a yellow card that is shown to Santos, Pedro Santos, and the Queens Royal is down at midfield.
And that's from a freshman, Mike. That's pretty. Takes a little bit of courage or daring mentality to have a little bit of attitude and aggression like that, especially in only a few college start games.
Yeah, the freshman from Brazil knocked down Joe Lilly, sophomore from Newcastle, making his second start. Good to see Lilly's okay, and Queens gets a free kick at midfield that they will defer to Boris Basara, transfer from Rhode Island, who's now a redshirt junior.
You can see just by the communication and the nonverbal and verbal just how much Queens is trying to capitalize on an opportunity.
And sends it all the way to the box. Knocked away. Nice defensive effort from Scully, the all-conference defender. Flipped up in the air and then waiting on it and snatching it is Bogle.
Hey, did you notice that good old Keegan Gore is all the way up there? Was that just my imagination? No, he literally ran all the way
here's
down.
Mendonca, who is always a thrill to watch no matter how many defenders are around him, and he earns himself and his team a corner kick.
And when you get a corner kick, Mike, this is an opportunity to be able to implement those set plays that you practice over and over again.
Queens team that's only been averaging just their 2 matches, but just 2 corners per game. I like to pump that number up a little bit. And here's the corner. Went for Alvarez, trying to get a good shot. Let's see what they can do with the cross. Sails by a couple of white jerseys and in a crowd, and it just kind of ping-ponged around for a while, but no shot attempt from Queens. Wingate dodges a bullet.
And hopefully even though Wingate dodges the bullet, Queens does a nice job of keeping possession of the ball. But I'll tell you, Mike, my heart dropped a little bit as a former goalkeeper, seeing the goalie was outside of the box and the ball was right in front of the goal, and no one was really sure what it was going with. But good job on props to Wingate for getting that ball out.
Yeah, a couple of opportunities it looked like for several different Royals in a crowded area, but right in front of the goal on a really nice cross from what I believe was Boris Basara. And now a long throw-in.
You can almost use throw-ins just like corner kicks, Mike. And that's one nice thing about the sport of soccer. If you have somebody who can do a really good throw-in, you can definitely capitalize using a throw-in just like a corner to set play. It's a little heated down there. You feel that energy, Mike? I don't know about you, but I feel that.
Yep, these 2 teams, plenty of history between them. And they played last year in what was an exhibition. Queens hasn't knocked off Wingate since 2018. which really just means it's a 1-match winning streak, or they get 2 matches because they beat them twice in 2019. But in the old-time series, 12-4-1 the Bulldogs are against the Queens Royals.
Well, I will tell you that earlier at Media Day in the preseason, I spoke with Jaden McCain, who told me that I asked him, who are you most looking forward to playing this season? He said, it's Wingate for me. Without a doubt, it's that battle of just right down the road. You can take Independence and 74 to be able to, it's just nice and close.
Yep, plenty of Wingate fans and staff here, including we're talking to their broadcast staff. Another part of the South Atlantic Conference and SAC Live. And this first SAC match of the season for both teams, as Queens will have another one at home here on Saturday against Newberry. Part of this 3-game homestand in which they are 1-0 so far. Now some discussion, as I believe that is Wingate head coach talking to the official over there right at the top of your screen.
It's interesting to always see what coach, there, he just gave him the hand. Wasn't happy about something, and we're not quite sure what.
Well, Gary Hamill in 30 years has earned his right to have as long of a discussion with an official as he'd like. He's pretty much done everything you can do in this conference. He's the 24th in all-time victories among all Division II head coaches in men's soccer. And now whistles blow before that shot attempt.
Anytime there is a free kick right outside the penalty box, it's dangerous. I'd like to see Queens just really be vocal in terms of setting up their wall and seeing how they're choosing to do defense. If they're doing man-on-man or if they're doing more kind of zone. I mean, everybody is on the defensive side there, just except Mr. Elvis. Just trying to protect the net.
Here it comes in the box.
Oh.
And just got by Anderson, and I believe getting a foot on it was Devin Scully.
It almost kind of felt like that was a little bit of slow motion there, Mike.
That was Devin Scully who knocked it in off the corner, or off of the free kick. And just a really nice entry attempt that Scully didn't get a huge leg on it, but he was able to hop it over the diving hands of Nikolai Anderson. And a 1-0 lead for visiting Wingate on top of Queens.
Just like you mentioned, Mike, he didn't really get any type of just real power with that finishing, but he did do the right job of being able to be in the right place at the right time.
And Queens quickly attacking, and Menayese was looking for Mendonca. But now a free kick for Wingate after that ball's blown dead. And I imagine it changes your strategy a little bit when you go down 1-0.
Of course, especially when there's time still left in the first half. You want to really be able to finish the half strong. Even if you don't score and make it even, you really just want to have that momentum in your favor.
We kind of saw it in the women's game. Queens scored first, and it sort of changed in a match that looked pretty even, but Queens was the better finishing team and won 2-0. But Wingate was certainly more aggressive after that and got some more shot attempts, and it was then the Royals who were able to pull it away. Now Queens, you can see a couple of quick attacks right after that score to no avail as the Royal goes down.
I believe that is Caleb Patch.
Yep, Caleb Patch. Yeah, he goes down, but yeah. Wingate free kick.
He was very aggressive about trying to get that ball inside the box.
They were looking to get it to Cooper, and now here's Alvarez dancing along that sideline, kept it in for Castro.
Mike, sideline's your friend.
Yeah, Alvarez danced along it.
Mendoza's over there yelling for the ball. He put his hands up and he was like, hello, asking for it. I think
Queens wants to go into the locker room with nothing more. If not, maybe they can tie it and get some momentum heading into the locker room. Here's Menayese on the attack for Queens, well defended. That's where Wingate believes maybe be the strength of their team is defensively, and so far they've looked strong.
Yeah, both teams have really strong back lines. That's one thing that we can notice as something similar between both squads. I really would have liked to see Mendoza just been able to capitalize by, instead of he kind of kept the ball in terms of possession a little bit too long. I would have liked to just seen him, honestly, just take a nice good old whack at it and a shot. You don't know what's going to happen, but I think he held on the ball too long. Ooh. I'll be interested to see if Coach puts in any fresh legs going into the half.
Yeah, Queens team that has plenty of depth, plenty of guys returning, a good influx of new talent, plenty of guys who have played this year. And they have, I believe, 7 guys who started both matches, so they're still kind of finding their rotation. So if they want to put in some new players, they won't necessarily be inexperienced players. They've got experience on the bench and on the sideline for this Queens team. So we'll see if they make any adjustments. Oliver Carrillas, the very established head coach in his 11th year at Queens. Here come the Royals. That's Patch, just couldn't get it over the head of Nicholas Vautour for Wingate. Now trying to lead Castro, who's offside.
Yeah, that was great timing and positioning by Vautour, who did a great job of just really noticing where the ball was to make sure his body was in front of it and it wasn't going to go past him. Queens did a nice job actually recovering right previously before the ball was down in their attacking third, really keeping the ball on the ground after keeper Anderson passed one out. And it wasn't always the best pass. That's one thing that when it comes to being a keeper or just passing around the back, you want to give a pass that you would like to have, be able to receive nice and easy.
Pash played that well, but they say he pushed off. And a free kick for Wingate as he kind of pushed off on Sauron Nygaard. So taking the free kick is Michael Fallen-Brun. Another all-conference selection. They're littered with all-conference selections in preseason, all 6 of them. 5 of them first-teamers. Here comes in the box. Knocked away. Kieran Gore was there. Nice job reversing it to force a throw-in.
They're playing that sideline real nice and well.
They send one up in the air, going for the header, but not able to connect. But a nice idea and a good pass. Queens gets a goal kick.
I've noticed just in that last defensive play by Gore, and then it was actually knocked back again, back inside the defensive third by Alvarez. And Alvarez just seems to be kind of running around everywhere.
Yeah, Alvarez, he's definitely easy to spot. One of the taller players on this team, 6'3". The long strides, speed, and athleticism. And now the Bulldogs trying to attack, and making that pass was Fallen-Brun.
This is a dangerous position to be
Here's
in.
the feed, and just wide of the diving Anderson in that left post. Just missed it. That was Florence Van Honk on the attack off a really nice feed as he was cutting down the middle.
I'm sure Wingate's coaching staff is not too happy about the fact that that one did not land in the back of the net. Those are things you practice all the time, nailing that finish first time.
Yeah, it was Mikkel Fallen-Brun, another Denmark guy.
There's full of Danes here.
Great Danes.
Great Danes.
A lot of international talent showcased here in the Queen Sports Complex tonight. Here is one of them. It's Alvarez.
He did a great job of timing his run to make sure he wasn't offsides.
A nice head for Menayese. Oh! His shot knocked down and then sent away by Santos. Nice defensive effort by the goalkeeper, Bogle.
That was beautiful. And the fact that he had his one of his center backs right there as well on after the deflection to be able to get the ball up and out. I mean, you can't ask for anything more better from your defensive line. But I really did like the fact that Menayese did a nice job of trying to just go for it. And that's the kind of thing where you finally see, okay, the clock's winding down, less than 10 minutes left in the half. All right, we got to do something here.
It's a race. Speed. Yep, there's that speed on the far sideline on the outside. Dancing with it, taking a shot, and surveyed by the goalkeeper, Anderson, who lets it go.
And I will tell you, I noticed Sauron Nygaard was just right there ready for that cross to be sent to the opposite side. Right now we're on the near side of the field, but he was ready for that cross so that he could nail one in the back of the net. He was asking for it. The ref's not going to let them take too much gains for the yardage there.
Kieran Gore went off of Scully. 8.5 left in this first half. Wingate holding on to a 1-0 lead over their neighbors from Charlotte, the Queens Royals. The sack opener for both teams. Here's Menayese. Out of play,
Ooh.
Touched it last, and Queens did. A Wingate throw-in, and Menayese wants to talk about it.
I'll tell you, being a sideline official is not the easiest thing, especially when the ball is being played fast, and it kind of can sometimes be like it's off both of them, but you have to go with their best judgment.
We'll have another discussion. Now that's Queens who will throw it in.
Both teams have been very aggressive about getting the ball in the air and trying to be first to the ball, because when you're first to the ball, that means you have possession and that you own it. And both teams have been very aggressive that way.
Patch went to Menayese. Now it's Mendonca. Or correction, make that Poplowski. Yuri Poplowski, who's checked in. Here's the header, and snatching it high in the air is Bogle as it went off of the head of Alvarez.
The keeper did a nice job of timing that ball in the air to be able to pick it up nicely. And a punt like that, I mean, you're sending that ball all the way into the other side of the field. That's a great form of execution by the keeper to be able to get that ball up and out onto the other side.
Yeah, he was looking for Fabio Rodriguez. If your name's Fabio, you got to have a nice head of hair, and he sure does.
Yeah, I was about to say, a Fabio, right?
Mendonca lost it, kicked away. Rodriguez heads it. Queens takes over. It's Gore. Into Mendonca.
Mendonca did a nice job of trying to shield the ball and keep possession.
Poplowski for Dos Passos.
Gore signaling to his teammates to recycle it back to Anderson, but they didn't do that. But that was one of the ways to be able to try to get the ball out of possession of being in a situation like this right now, where Wingate has the ball and they have it in the defensive third.
Nygaard crosses it, looking for Rodriguez, and right there to knock it in, but it's
Mike,
that was McMeekle Fallen Brown
Mike,
with the score.
That goal just ends up becoming one of the points where it was a communication breakdown.
Yeah, it sure was. And I wasn't sure if something had been blown dead. It was a wide open opportunity for Mikkel Fallenbrunn, the all-conference performer, who knocked it in to take a 2-0 lead as we approach halftime here at Dixon Field. And just a huge change in the pace of this match. Queens now trailing by 2 scores, a position that they are quite familiar with and they have a fond memory of. But a lot of work to be done as we approach halftime. We'll see if Queens can cut the deficit. They've had some chances on the offensive end. This has not been a lopsided match in many ways, but Wingate has been the team who's capitalized, and that time maybe a defensive breakdown by the Royals.
A great defensive attempt right there in the back by Boris. He did a nice job of really shielding the ball and getting the ball to the outside. In less than 10 minutes, I mean, you got almost down to 5 minutes left in this game. You have to be smart about your decision making. You have to choose to get the ball out.
Fallenbrunn earns his second goal of the season. That ties Owen Marshall for the lead on this Wingate team. They've got a whole lot of different guys who can score. There is a Bulldog down on the far sideline with 4:58 remaining. The clock stops. And now Wingate in position to sort of control this match.
Moments like this, Mike, are vital for teams to be able to use any time a clock is stopped. Right now, somebody on the sideline, if somebody needs water, you know, your buddies on the bench are supposed to be giving you a little bit of love. It gets a good opportunity just to kind of have brief communication with your squad and, you know, catch your breath and then reset yourself. Soccer is one of those sports that you don't have any timeouts.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of time to stop and think. We're close to halftime, and we'll see how these teams adjust, how Wingate will play with this 2-0 lead, and how Queens will try to take a bite out of the deficit, as there's Caleb Patch making an aggressive play.
Patch recognizes that Wingate has done a nice job of using the outside man and being able to cover ground that way. So he's saying not inside our defensive third.
Yeah, he chopped down the tour. And now here's the throw in, and let's see what the Bulldogs can do here. Stopped by Patch. And along the near side, it's Vitour. Nygaard. Vitour sends it in. Anderson high points it.
Beautiful save by Anderson.
He had to snatch it from Rodriguez, who was looking for the header. Nice confidence building play for the freshman. Queens looking to counter. Joe Lilly for Alvarez. Now Caleb Patch. Lilly, Alvarez keeps it in play. Looking for an angle. And right into the mitts of the goalkeeper, Bogle, who's been perfect so far.
Queens did a nice job of getting the ball up and out on their other side. And it just right now, and also getting a little windy here. I think everybody's liking it though, because I'm smelling gross, and they're probably smelling gross and sweaty. So a little bit of a breeze was unexpected
odd gust
there.
of wind that is not circulated once throughout the day.
Okay.
And there goes
one of your
another note of
papers.
mine.
That's okay.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna run and go grab a free mic because if not, it's gonna go somewhere else.
Inside 3 minutes left as we try to recuperate from some sudden gusts of winds, and we'll see what kind of weather takes place for the second half. So far, it's been quite pleasant on this Wednesday evening, but leading a man up the field, an opportunity for Wingate, but I believe, well, it goes right to the goalkeeper, Anderson. Just inside 2.5 minutes left.
Did not expect that breeze there, Mike.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
Live sports. You never know what might be coming. Less than 2 minutes left. There's an opportunity here for Queens just to keep possession of the ball, build a little bit of confidence. Oh, Queens is not happy about that one. With the free kick, to let Wingate get back into their attacking third. It smells like rain out
Well,
here,
I know. So that's what I was just checking, is that we got a minute and a half until halftime, but we're going to have to go and get the tent and try to keep this broadcast on the air. We've had trouble in the past sometimes when the weather does not concord with us trying to do a broadcast. But once halftime comes, we'll take our precautionary measures and try to keep this thing going. But that was probably what that gust of wind was leading to. They looked for Mendonca up the field, knocked away. Great defensive play from Devin Scully. Queens.
It was so close, just right there. You can see just by the way Mendonca just dropped his head how frustrated he was.
Royals trying to rattle off one more attack and see if they can earn some momentum coming into the locker room in this final minute. Here's Caleb Patch looking to throw it in deep. Long throw in. Dos Passos heads it back. Knocked around by Lilly. Alvarez flips it up. A collision, and the ball just trickles in for the score. And it just walked in there. The goalkeeper, Bogle, kind of looking at his defense saying nobody was there. He was up there charging. And nobody was there for the rebound, and Queens cuts the deficit in half in the final seconds with 18 seconds left in this first half, a 2-1 ball game.
And those are just the definite opportunities that Elvis did a great job of just finishing that ball, and I'd be ticked if I was on Wingate's squad right now, because you can't just expect and assume. Just like in any sport, communication is vital, but when you're inside that back, you can't mess around.
Yeah, the one thing Wingate just did not want to let happen is now they tried to lead Rodriguez up the field before the half comes to a close.
I like the way Anderson just grabbed the ball even though he knew the clock was winding down. It's important for him to build that confidence.
Play through the whistle. Well, 2-1. Wingate leads Queens. Queens with some big momentum coming into the locker room in that final 18 seconds. They score. Elvis Meneyese. We've got halftime. And the Queens dance team on the field. We will get to see them for the second time this evening and try to prepare for this ensuing weather here on the Queen Sports Network. No, continue to do it.
No, I can't. No, you have to. No, the thing is that.
Ladies and gentlemen, halftime means once again, please give your attention to center field as we welcome our Queens dance crew. made. And now, fans, make some noise. You may be the recipient of a Queen's soccer scarf from your Queen's dance crew. Come on, let's hear it.
Okay. So why don't we just put right there? Why don't we just put right there?
No, because he has like catch the
Oh, okay.
or is this? We might need this camera.
Okay, hold on. I have a plastic bag too. You could always put over.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours. In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Dear college sports,
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us
and for college sports.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Royals kicking off to begin the second half.
Second half action just about to commence here from Dixon Field, the Queens Sports Complex. A 2-1 lead for Wingate on top of Queens, and really interesting first half and a really interesting first half finish. Wingate took the lead 1-0 after a Devin Scully score the 24th minute, followed up in the 39th minute with a score from Mikkel Fallen-Brun. And then in the 18th second, with 18 seconds left to go in the first half, it was David Alvarez who was able to knock it in and make it a 2-1 game as we start the second half. Huge momentum shift as Queens was able to cut their deficit in half, and we've got a fun second half that might bring a little bit of rain. We were able to set up the tent at halftime, so perfect timing in case that does happen. But certainly going to be a fascinating second half in the SAC opener for both teams.
Mike, just like you guys, both teams did not use halftime to rest at all. They were both active on the field, practicing, and I'm sure both coaches just really wanted to clean up some technical things and technical aspects, and then also be able to work on their tactics of play and make sure that the communication is together. And another more windy night we have here. I don't even know what time it is.
We started out in the afternoon of Wednesday afternoon soccer. It's turned into a nightcap. So we approach 9 p.m. and here is the header and the tap by Scully looking for his second goal, but it's off target. And Anderson will have a goal kick. In that first half, you saw the stats at halftime. Wingate leads in shots 6-4. Both teams 3 shots on goal. The Bulldogs lead in corners 2-1. 7 Queens fouls to Wingate's 4. The Bulldogs have 1 yellow card. And Queens really was able to shift the direction of the second half and gain a whole lot of momentum for Queens by scoring with 18 seconds left. Alvarez really on that last possession. And
Mike, I can tell you right now, it feels like a rivalry game with the crowd here, and just the fact that within the last minute, a goal went in the net. I mean, it feels like a rivalry game, and I love that the crowd's here, and there's enthusiasm. And I also really enjoyed talk right to the pitch. I've enjoyed watching the ref let the guys play.
Yeah, and that last goal, the way it went in was kind of entertaining because the goalkeeper, Bogle for Wingate, he went up to stop it. It deflected off of him and just kind of trickled softly into the net. And he kind of turned around and had the double take because he thought somebody else would be there to kick it away. And he wasn't able to run it down in time. So Queens, it's in a different position than we thought they might be early in the second half. Only trailing by a score, and they know what it's like to come from behind at home and win. They started off this season a 3-1 loss at Belmont Abbey before bouncing back to the win over Clayton State. And a pivotal match for both teams trying to get ahead of the South Atlantic Conference standings. Deep throw in. Menayese's there, tries to swing it in, knocked a couple of times. Well defended by Wingate. They do have a defender down. I think that's Scully.
Queens will get another opportunity to put in a set play here on the corner, but great defensive move by Wingate in the back. I think that after that goal went in, the keeper wants complete direct communication executed by his team.
It's Basara, a former all-conference honorable mention. And we'll go the other way. So Wingate able to hold off Queens as they try to tie it. A race along the far sideline. Patch cut him down. It looked to be just outside the box.
And you know what, Mike? Patch was pretty lucky that he wasn't inside the box.
Yep, and that's a yellow card for Caleb Patch. And that's Queens. Part of the reason they came back against Clayton State. Both of the tying goals by Mendonca were PKs. They're 2 for 2 on the season. Even though they were down a man, it was 10-on-11. They were able to earn 2 PK opportunities, and they took advantage of both of them to tie it at 3 before winning that thriller. This one outside the box, so let's see what they try to do here.
Everybody is protecting this goal for Queens. No one is past the logo. All hands on deck here in this important defensive clearance that they have to execute. Even put Elvis over there in the wall, another added man.
It's deflected away and
I think it was a good decision to add the extra wall person.
knocked away again, this time off of Joe Lilly. Mendonca was fighting for it. Now it goes to Menayese. Trying to lead his man up the field. Charging ahead, it's Lilly, but it goes too far as he was trying to race Vitur.
Menayese had a great idea of being able to get the ball up. Just was a little bit out of reach for his teammate.
Pushing foul, free kick for the Bulldogs.
Foul on Queens. Free kick for Wingate. Patch takes a nice little shove from Sauron Nygaard.
He's a tough defender back there. I like the way he can command the sideline, despite the fact he's not very tall compared to a defender like Kieran Gore.
Yeah, Kieran and Keegan, I think they get their names swapped a bit. 2 players that have been there a long time. 2
international players.
Yep, and 2 guys that we interviewed before the season. You interviewed.
I did. No, you were there. I have to give props to my producer, Mike Boyles. He did an awesome job.
Yeah, and they did as well. 2 guys that were great speakers, great leaders. Keegan can't be out there tonight, but Kieran is there as their head of the defense, trying to anchor this team and tie this match.
Did you know he hates swimming?
I did not know that.
He hates it. Absolutely hates it.
I didn't prepare well enough, clearly. For this broadcast.
I know. That's why you gotta play
it's
this
raining,
back.
so it might. Well, at least it might rain. So there's always the potential. Let's move on. Menayese lost it out of bounds, out of touch, and Queens, who in that first half, 4 shot attempts, 3 of them on goal. So they've had some opportunities. A team who the Royals this year have averaged over 15 shots per game. Even in their loss against Belmont Abbey, they led in shots 17-10. So there's been plenty of offense and plenty of opportunities. But here is one for Wingate. Looking to attack, dancing, taking one with the left, and the score for the Bulldogs. Sauron Nygaard, his first of the day, and a 3-1 lead for Wingate with 38 minutes left to play.
That was absolutely beautiful execution of a dominating offense performance by Sauron. He not only kept possession of the ball on the breakaway, but he also got around 3 defensive players to be able to knock that one in the net. That's a hard one for any keeper to be able to get. It's perfectly done in the corner. Anderson did a nice job trying his best to shield it, but beautiful score by Sauron.
Yeah, Nygaard had 5 goals in 9 matches last year. He gets his 2nd goal of this season, As I mentioned, he came into this performance with 17 shots already in just 4 matches. So
he was definitely aching to get one in the back of the net.
yeah, I think they're going to pile up before it's all said and done for Nygaard, and he buffers Wingate back up to a 2-goal lead here in the second half. So big answer after Queens had that huge score to end the first half. Now the Bulldogs back in firm control. Here's Dos Passos, sends it back to Anderson.
Definitely can sense some frustration from the back of the defensive line, especially Anderson. He was trying to urge his teammates to push the ball up, even though he doesn't really, take the goal kicks outside the back. He was really just trying to shift the ball from the defending third to the attacking third, and but Wingate has continued to remain possession.
Booted up the field by Owen Marshall. There's Gore. Racing with it is Lilly. Dropped it off for Ndingi, who's checked in for the first time today. Actually, no, he played in the first half, but came off the bench. Ndingi tries to drop it off for Poplawski. Now it's Alvarez. He scored the first goal for Queens, the lone goal. Tried to get into Menayese, knocked out.
That was so beautifully played down by the sideline, but unfortunately just not able to finish in front of the net. There's definitely a sense of trying to decide, okay, do we play with sense of urgency of just getting the ball up and out, or are we going to try to play the ball on the ground and play pretty soccer? Just like that.
Just a little too far ahead for Alvarez, but back to Lilly, but now here come the Bulldogs. That's Rodriguez. Able to drop it off for Van Honk. Looking to feed it back to Rodriguez.
I definitely would watch that backside on that far post because there are some Bulldogs that are right out there that Anderson urged his defenders to keep an eye out for.
A healthy shove from Ndingi. And then picked away by Marshall. Van Honk back to Marshall, looking to cross it. Picked off by Queens and Basara. Long shot off target.
Moments before this, just here, Mike, even though Queens did executed by getting the ball out, it makes me a little nervous after having some breakdown communication errors to even just play that ball right back in front of the goal. But you have to be confident in your defensive line that you can trust them to get that ball actually cleared. I tend to play it safe a little bit, you know? Great pass executed there by Queens to be able to get the ball up down the sideline. Wingate's playing really high in the back and putting the pressure up.
Nice job by Dos Passos. Get it out of their own territory. Nice back and forth. Nygaard. Run down by Dos Passos. Rodriguez. Van Honk. Vetour. Or make that Vanderbrug, Floris Vanderbrug on that cross attempt.
Good job by Caleb Patch to be right there and ready to get the ball out. He's in the right place at the right time. Another opportunity that Wingate's having.
Vanderbrug again on the cross, and it's fallen Bruin, who had one goal already. He was the target. He gets it back. The Queens throw in, 32 minutes left to go, and Queens trailing by a pair of scores. Royals do a nice job, and they force a throw in the far end of your screen.
This is a great opportunity for Queens to reset themselves and be put back into position. And Patch does a nice throw in that you can count on to give you some depth.
Gore sends it back to his goalkeeper, Anderson. He had a charging Scully at him. A Queens throw in for Ndingi.
As Anderson becomes more comfortable in the keeper position, he'll be able to take a touch and keep that ball on the ground so that it's not just completely knocked away in a panic mode.
Menayese was running after it. Scully got there first.
Just trying to maintain possession of the ball. He's using his whole body into it, too.
Patch went down. And a free kick awarded to Queens.
All the Royals are on pretty much inside the attacking third.
Into the box, going up to head it was Dos Passos, and then Menayese shoots it into the trees.
Royal substitution. Number 19, Charles Bass, in for number 14.
Charles Bass comes in. He replaces Joe Lilly.
Lily's been playing the majority of all this game, so I'm sure, especially when you're playing out wide and in the midfield where you're having to go cover so much ground, you got to have a substitution.
And Bruin for Anderson. Catches it with both hands. His chest. Still plenty of time for the Royals in this conference opener. But they're going to have to get it by that stingy Wingate defense. This is a team that really prides itself on their defenders. And they think that they're loaded. Guys like Owen Marshall, Nicholas Fatur, Devin Scully, Vander Bruggen, all conference players. And get some more shots against this young goalkeeper.
There's still plenty of energy that is being exuberated here on the field. Lots of communication. You don't want to stop that by any means just because you're down.
It's to one of the most steady, consistent, and strong teams in this conference. both with very established head coaches. Talked about Gary Hamill in his 30th season. All of her careers for Queens. He's a Queens legend. He was an incredible player and a player that at Queens that ends up becoming a coach. So just a Royal for life. Three NCAA tournament appearances under his tutelage and 2013 SAC Coach of the Year. And he's trying to get his team to fight back and get back to a one-score game, trailing 3-1, 27 minutes left.
You mentioned the history surrounding this Queens Royals program, and that's something when I spoke with captains Keegan and Kieran, that the guys that were set before them, that came before them, really emphasized the importance of playing as a family and just really feel responsible to get the Queens program back and redeem themselves from that spring season. I think that's a very noble and a humble thing to be able to say, hey, listen, we didn't perform the way we wanted to, but here again, we're going to come out here and play with a chip on our shoulder.
And he probably touched on it more than enough, but when you have a comeback like you did last week, I think any deficit does not feel too big for this team, because once you do it once, you have the confidence to do it again, because you know it can happen. You know, when you're down, that was even a crazier comeback than this could be. But it's a good Wingate team. Nothing's going to come easy against them, and getting knocked to the turf was Yuri Poplowski, who is a little bit slow to get up.
I definitely could hear that initial hit.
Yuri, the senior from Brazil. Extended minutes tonight from what he got in the first two matches. Boris Basara.
That was a beautifully placed ball to the backside of the post. Queen just couldn't get a foot on it.
The cross.
Stick with it. Keep that pressure on.
Farron Brune looking for a cutting Cooper. Knocked away, and Queens trying to run with it.
Anderson also just had a little slip right there on that turf, and that's a position you never want to be in as a keeper on the ground when you weren't intentionally meant to be there. But he did a nice job of getting right back up, and his defense was there to help him out.
Up the field, here's Mendonca in traffic. Really nice defensive effort to shield him off, though, by Ricardo Cardozo. And then it was the goalkeeper, Bogle, who's able to step up and make a nice play, because you can really see the talent that Mendonca has. I mean, this guy just took the league by storm last season, and he's just continued this year. He had 3 goals in last season's campaign to go with 3 assists, and this year already 4 goals, but that's just good defense by a strong Wingate team. Nothing's going to come easy against them.
Royal substitutions. Number 2, Tyler Tim, and number 15, Caleb Patch.
That was Cardozo, who's just checked in. He's only played 6 minutes so far tonight, but he made a great play to shield away Queen's top offensive weapon.
Alvarez, like I mentioned kind of earlier, he's one of the players that I constantly see all over the field. I see him doing work in the back and also up forward. He's definitely a very active player.
Keep that pressure. Keep the pressure on him.
So nice passes back and forth. Getting spun down was Vanderbrug before Queens tries to clear it. Alvarez got it back, tries to lead a charging. I thought it was Menayese, but I think it may have been Menayese up the field, but nice play by the goalkeeper to knock it away, and now we have a Bulldog on the ground.
It went from one keeper to the other. Especially in these moments when the clock is stopped, as I emphasized earlier. This is an opportunity to chat with your teammates, talk on the sideline, get a little bit of water to kind of reset yourself.
That's Devin Scully down at midfield. Scully, very important player for this Wingate team.
He's been somebody that's been involved on both the offense and defensive side.
One of the half a dozen players that were all-conference preseason, and he's slow to walk off. First team all-conference last season. And a really strong defensive unit. Last year allowed just over half a goal per match. He's going to trot off the field. Queens possession. It's about halfway through this second half. A 3-1 lead for visiting Wingate. Nice move, and then leading a man up the field, but it's cut off by Bogle. Nice play.
That was really strong keeper performance to be able just to come out and attack. Elvis was definitely ready to shoot that ball in the net.
And Dingy gets it for Menayese, but his pass is off target. Cooper, far end for Vautour.
Wingate's trying to remain disciplined with the ball by keeping possession. 1-2 touch play.
A nice diving effort from Anderson to snag it in midair.
He can continue to build on his confidence after making saves like that. His distribution, though, put his team to still stay on their defending half.
And they have a man going down the field. Let's see if he tries to cross it. He does, into traffic and knocked away. I think that was Pedro Santos who knocked it away for Wingate. Up the field, it was Rafael Marquez who had a chance to speed up and take a shot. Instead, he tried to cross it and find a man, but just the defense got there and outnumbered him.
Definitely was a hard thing to see wasted by a break. Anytime you get a breakaway, you never want to see that to be just taken away, but good defenses do.
Vanderbrug lost his footing, somehow popped back up. Tries to get it to a teammate, Owen Marshall. And now it's Van Honk. The pass from Vanderbrug in the box. Run down by Nikolai Anderson, the freshman goalkeeper. So far, 8 shots for Wingate, 5 for Queens. 5 on goal for Wingate, 3 for Queens. Two to 2 in corners.
Samuel there just got a yellow. I think he's getting a little heated. Pulled a shirt.
Yeah, a yellow card on that far side of the field to Samuel Ndingi.
You almost have a half of a total different lineup right now compared to how you started things off with. Central pieces still remain. The David Alvarez, Kieran Gore in the back. But there has been fresh legs brought in, especially on the outside with Tyler Tin and also Sam Lundingi, who's been able, excuse me, I said that incorrectly, on the outside too.
The player goes down, no call, as Gore sends it up the field. And a handball violation on Poplowski for Queens.
Did a great job right there of just getting that ball right up.
Nice touch by Alvarez, and then leading his man up the field, an open net. Mendonca weaves his way to a shot attempt and a score. Goal number 5 of the season for Mendonca, and it's a one-score game once again. Well, the whole vibe here just changed instantly.
I feel like you got more energy, Mike, now.
And a wild sequence, and just such crafty work by Felipe Mendonca, so smooth with the ball that he was able to not rush his shot. Even when the goalkeeper came out, he was able to come away with the ball. He still was able to make a move to set up a clear shot opportunity in which he sent right to the net. And it's a 3-2 ball game. Getting used to seeing these high-scoring, action-packed affairs as that one's knocked away by Ndingi. You can see Queens, that's a shot of life into the arm of this Queens team. We were playing with the same mojo we saw in that crazy comeback win. Let's see if Wingate can silence them. Here is a shot attempt to no avail on the attack from Rodriguez. Anderson makes the stop. Mendonca has 5 of Queens' 7 goals this season.
Just executed by Gore was a big old kick all the way up down to the outside flank. And I think Eames is really trying to find those little pockets to be able to capitalize on another breakaway opportunities. Having the keeper be really high to be able to, get the ball around. That's definitely something when you're a goalkeeper, you have to make the decision if you're going to commit to go for it or if you're going to, sit in the net. Either which way, you have to be confident. Queens is doing a good job of trying to get everyone involved.
And Ndingi will throw it in. Get a healthy running start. Deep throw-in.
Can add to his resume, specialized in throw-ins.
I'd like to see him do the cartwheel like you see in the women's game a little bit. Just for show. Add that to his resume.
Yeah, we'll let him know. Great defensive position by Queens.
Yeah, it's Boris Basara able to head it away. Working against Severe Oland and defending him was Charles Bass for Queens.
I definitely admire Bass's ability to stay on top of the ball, and he also went and took that initiative to come there and protect the ball. You can definitely give a nod to a player that goes out of their way to make sure that it's not something easy isn't going to be given away.
Mikael Van Bruin knocked down. Free kick for Wingate. Van Brun has a goal today. Scored his in the 39th minute. Take the 2-score lead.
Wingate was trying to get a little crafty right there. I'm not sure what their thought process was.
We'll do it again.
Redo. I didn't know we get
Gamesmanship. Here's Van Brun. Toward the goal, headed, and it got past Anderson. Back to a 2-score lead for Wingate, but I'm
really intrigued, Mike, to find out what previously happened because.
And it's an offside call. They're waving it off.
Oh, there we go.
They're waving it off.
Clarity.
It's an offside call against the Bulldogs, so it remains a 1-goal game. And everyone sort of froze, and you saw the Bulldogs players protested in that call.
And the thing is, Mike, when you get an opportunity to shoot and score, even though it didn't go in, it still gives you a sense of confidence.
Yeah, that's true. And Basara chops down a Wingate player, Florence Van Honk, and now a free kick from further out this time. But they'll go to Fallen Brun.
You got to watch that backside. Whoa. Tyler 10 was going a little down right over there, but he did a nice job of blocking the ball nevertheless. Wingate did a nice job of switching that point of attack from one side of the field to the other and still remained in possession of the ball.
Yeah, they went to that backside as you referenced. Now they control it at midfield, clinging to a 1-score lead. The touch by Vanderbrug, it goes out of touch, and a free kick or a goal kick for Queens and Nikolai Anderson. Marquez checks out and Patch checks in. What can the Royals put together in these final 13 minutes?
13. What a lucky or unlucky number, Mike.
We'll
13
see.
minutes. We'll see.
Well, it'll be lucky for one team.
That is true.
Two players get tangled up. One of them was Kieran Gore. Call goes against Wingate.
You can admire and respect for a guy that's 6'2". He gets pretty low on the ground to be able to try to maintain that possession. And that's something that in soccer, you're constantly dancing. You're constantly having to get low to the ground and be able to maintain possession of the ball.
Gets by a few players and then taking the shot and lofting it high. And he couldn't tell if it was going to sail over the net. It nearly came down and landed in play from Manuel dos Passos. Just a high lofting kick. Well defended by Bogle, but just bounced on top of the net over the crossbar, and a goal kick for the Bulldogs.
Bogle in that position did a really nice job of timing the ball, making sure that he was protecting it. I can say as a former keeper that those moments feel like they go so slow, and you're having to time your hands and jump correctly.
Great touch from Alvarez. Menayese is not going to beat Santos to it. And now here's Mendonca for Alvarez. Alvarez played a nice game so far. Another nice touch as he got it to Basara. The cross right into a pit of blue jerseys, and looking to counter is Rodriguez and Wingate. Dropped it off for Nygaard. Queens trying to get it out of there, and Alvarez does. Leads a charging man down the field. Santos again able to get there first. A couple of nice sequences for Pedro Santos and the Bulldogs.
That was just another example of how strong the defense is for Queens.
And a race for the possession. Menayese knocked down Santos and gets called.
This game is not cooling down, Mike. It's definitely going to keep heating up until that final whistle's blown. Great header there by Gore.
Menayese in traffic.
As a referee, you have to make the decision when playing to the advantage is just as fair as getting a free kick. And in that situation, I believe the ref made the right call.
They'll take the free kick.
You can see students are trying to get a better eye down there.
Here's the free kick, headed by Alvarez. Second try, whistles come pouring in. We're going the other way.
Queens is doing a nice job of resetting themselves all the way to the back to protect their goal. You have to admire the endurance by players to go from one side of the field all the way to the other.
A whole lot of collisions here in the second half. In our nightcap, we had 3 different matches for you on the Queen Sports Network. 2 of them were soccer, 1 of them in the field hockey stadium just nearby. This one rolls to the goalkeeper, Bogle, who's done a nice job. We weren't sure who was going to start at goalkeeper for Wingate because coming in, thought it could be Bergendorf, who was the initial starter for this team, and then Bogle took over after Jamie went down after Jens Bergendorf went down due to injury, and Bogle's did a nice job. Surrendered a couple goals tonight, but trying to earn his 3rd victory of the season, and he's got 8 minutes left to protect this 1-score lead, and a long free kick ensuing for Boris Basara. Sends it deep into the box. Ahead from Mendonca, and it's in, and we are tied. This guy is on fire. His 2nd goal of the game, his 6th goal of the season. And just like that, the score is even.
Mike, we're having a little bit of deja vu from last week.
It's exactly feels like last week. Basara had 3 goals in that game. And that time, a great entry pass on the free kick from Basara. And Mendonca just rose above everybody to make an incredible play. This redshirt senior from Salvador, Brazil, stands at 6'2", and he just continues to mesmerize this crowd here at Dixon Field. How many goals is he going to score this year?
How about we guess?
I don't know what to put the over-under at because I'd take the over.
That's a good thing to say on the Queen Sports Network.
7:10 left in a tie game, and one that's very important, most important match either team's played all year because this is a conference match. 2 teams that are always competitive in the South Atlantic Conference. Wingate, who was picked to be the favorite, they were the champion last year. Won the SAC tournament 4 of the last 6 years.
When I spoke to the guys earlier when I spoke to the team earlier in the preseason, they emphasized just how much they were looking forward to playing Wingate. A familiar foe just right down the road. And you can tell just by the way that these guys are playing right now and the aggression. They're very competitive with each other. And that's what you want in a rivalry. I'd really like to see both teams practice a little bit more discipline, Mike, and not give away opportunities for free kicks, because that is what both teams have capitalized on.
Here's the free kick. They send it all the way to the goalkeeper, who punches it.
That was a good move by Anderson. If you can't get a full hand on it, punch that baby out.
So let's see what the Bulldogs can do on the attack. Plenty of goal scorers on this team. Queens has been very reliant on Mendonca. They have other talents as well. Mendonca has been their primary weapon and their workhorse when it comes to Queens' attack.
Of getting the job done right in the back of the net. Kind of like saying there's an M&M show going on here, Mike, between both Mendoza and Mondonga. Excuse me, I might have butchered that, but I think they both are very important parts in that attacking third.
Into the box. It goes over Rodriguez. And Ndingi just sends it away for Alvarez. Alvarez has been really good with the ball so far. He leads a charging Royal Andre Castro. Back to Alvarez, but stepping up and sending it away was Devin Scully.
Playing a little
Correction,
bit of
make that Owen Marshall.
A little bit of kickball back and forth there. Waiting for which team is going to choose to bring the ball down, own possession, and keep it. Because there's definitely a sense of urgency in this game now, Mike.
Yeah, both the Royals' last goals in the last 16 minutes have come with Scully after Scully went down with injury, one of the top defenders on this Bulldogs team that has plenty of depth defensively. But worth noting, and now a couple players down, or at least one over in your picture, and that is the man who made a really nice free kick for that Mendonca score, Boris Basara, very experienced, talented player for the Royals. SAC honorable mention back in 2019.
Providing service like that, Mike, on a free kick is something that you really do rely on someone to do over and over again, because your teammates expect that ball to be placed, and an assist like that is every coach's dream for a player to perform.
The redshirt junior from Austria, Boris, will stay in. Couple substitutions, though, and now he gets his name called. He's going to check out. Alvarez.
It's like he's switching towards the back. Moving a little bit more on the back. Like I said, I just have noticed Alvarez all over the field tonight on both sides of the ball. Both teams did a nice job of using that little bit of time stop to get some water.
So Basara does stay in, and now sent across midfield looking for Meneyese.
Queens is applying the pressure.
Bogle down the field to Kieran Gore. Royals trying to pull off back-to-back stunning comeback victories on this home pitch.
That was a great job of a passing scheme and pattern to just really place the ball right at the feet and be able to get the ball up, even though it might have gone out of bounds. Great execution of good technical soccer.
Vanderbrug keeping it away from Mendonca. And now here's Oland for Fallen Brune. Thought about the shot. Instead, he defers it to Vanderbrug, who crosses it. Diving in, knocked away by Anderson. What a save. Nikolai Anderson, with his best save of the night, has to do it again, and he runs it down. Nikolai Anderson now trying to lead the attack. Meneyese trying to fend off Owen Marshall. A throw-in for the Royals and a pick-me-up from this freshman goalkeeper.
I loved it. Anderson coming out of the box and was just really aggressive. And you just a few moments ago, he was clapping, talking to his team. I'm really excited to see how he's going to grow as a keeper.
Ndingi. And now out to Mendonca, looking for goal number 3. There's Castro in traffic. Royals unable to jump on that opportunity. Nice job by Wingate to surround Mendonca. Not able to do it by himself that time.
Yeah, I think Mendonca really wanted to have that call by the ref, but Queens did remain in possession of the ball, just not the way that they wanted it to be.
Now inside 2 minutes left in regulation. Ndingi heads it to Alvarez. Mendonca, I don't think he saw the ball.
I don't think he saw the ball either.
Yeah, it went right past him.
That was out of the norm for him.
Now looking to attack. Here's the cross, knocked away. Nice play by Dos Passos. 1:15 left.
Dos Passos is definitely taking command back there, making sure that everyone is on a man.
Vanderbrug knocked away by Anderson. May have deflected off the crossbar after it hit his hand. 1 minute left. Wingate still with possession, trying to close the door on this Queens comeback. Here's a long shot, knocked away by Dos Passos again. Can the Royals counter? Dancing along that far sideline and out of play to Queens.
Earlier in the game, Mike, I challenged Anderson to be more aggressive on this broadcast, and I'm really impressed to see that he is putting that into action and really owning his box. Beautiful saves by the freshman keeper.
Here is Boris Basara from way out there, and the clock is ticking. There's 15 seconds left. This will be the last attack from Basara in regulation. Up in the box, Queens trying to spin around and just take a shot. They do, and that's it for regulation as the clock is ticking down. That's it for regulation. Well, we will stay here. Overtime, extra soccer. The nightcap continues on the Queens Sports Network in a 3-3 tie. The Royals rallied back for two goals, eerily similar to what they did against Clayton State just a Thursday ago. We're going to have it all for you after this break here on the Queens Sports Network and SAC Live. Don't go anywhere. The most entertaining part of the night is coming up.
In NCAA Division II, student-athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student-athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student-athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours. In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student-athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student-athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student-athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Dear college sports,
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us
And for college sports.
For a class, you have 9 conference games. You're playing just over half the teams. It's ridiculous to have 16 teams. It's just like in football and other sports. You have 16 SEC teams. You play 9 conference games. You're not playing 7 other teams or whatever. You're playing like half the conference. So one team gets a hard schedule, other team gets an easy schedule. Otherwise, making huge conferences, it changes travel and stuff. I mean, the Pac-12 is perfect because they're all on the same coast. I don't really understand if we could join a huge conference and we're playing Illinois in a conference game. It doesn't really make any sense. These three schools are in different places. Otherwise, yeah, it just. Okay, well, if I'm Georgia and it's like, oh, we gotta play Florida, LSU, Alabama, and then other team, Texas A&M, oh, we can play Tennessee. It's like, play three different schedules. Why even have conferences? Right, like, I mean, he's eating. Well, welcome back, and a familiar sight for this Queens team. Not only a high-scoring affair, but we're in overtime, extra time, 3-3, and the Royals led just a storming comeback effort, trailing by 2 goals in the second half. It was once again the Felipe Mendonca show as he scored in the 71st minute and the 82nd minute to tie the score 3-3. Here in the SAC opener, Mike Foyles and Kat Biancardi. And I don't know how many people saw this coming. We referenced that win over Clayton State a million times, I know, but this match feels like the same thing. And we'll see what happens in overtime. This is a very good Wingate team, number 10 right now in the Southeast region, picked to be favorites in the SAC. And this is just a huge effort by Queens to even get back in this match and force overtime. We'll see who can close the deal and close the door in this big rivalry matchup between two teams who are located awfully close to each other.
Yeah, you take Independence 74 to get back and forth to one another. Bragging rights are on the table, Mike, and both teams have executed a full 90 minutes. And so with this overtime rules, this moments like this, when you're getting ready to be right in front of the box, I mean, that's poisoning for a beautiful setup for hopefully a shot and a goal in the net.
Yeah, it's golden goal. Next score wins. And it's 10 minutes of extra time. And I believe they'll play a second period after. And then it'll be called a tie if nobody scores.
That is correct, Mike.
So Alvarez, his free kick is denied. And then knocking down a Wingate player was a Royal, Joe Lilly. And Wingate player still down.
I said this earlier, Mike, as the clock was winding down in the second half, that both teams are going to have to implement discipline because you never know which way the ref is going to make a call. I think that this ref has done a really nice job of letting the guys play and letting them be competitive. But when it's coming down to golden goal, you give them a free opportunity to have the ball. It's not something that you want to put your team in, especially in this case, you're all right. You're in the middle of the field, but if you're in one of the other attacking thirds, you don't want to do that to your squad. Especially because both of these teams have shown that they know how to execute set pieces.
It's Wingate over in the far corner.
That ball covered a huge amount of ground.
Here's Vautour. Vautour, high lofting cross, trying to connect with it was Rodriguez. Now he circles it along the end line. It's still in play. Rodriguez dancing with it. Hands it off to his teammate. Another cross sent away by Kieran Gore into the Queens bench. Wingate leads in shots 9-8. They lead in shots on goal 6-5. 2 corners each, and the stat sheet is just about even, and so is the score, 3-3.
I'd like to see Queens calm down a little bit, get back into shape and position. Pat just got to watch outside in that back side of the net.
It goes to Anderson, who's going to run it down.
His defense does a nice job of shielding the ball. It's always kind of fun when you're a keeper to kind of play around with it. make the forward or striker work for it.
I wonder if the coach, if Coach Oliver ever gets nervous when goalkeepers do that, but Anderson had a good feel for it. Here's Menayesi on the other end of the field, working hard against Vanderbrug, trying to get around him. Well defended, and then sends one toward the middle. Alvarez heads it. Well defended. Queens runs it down with Lilly, trying to shield away the defender, Fallen Brune. Lost it. Marshall going the other way. There's a Bulldog down.
I got to give my boy Elvis some credit right there. He did a great job of using his technical ball skills. He kept the ball really nice and controlled, and he even sent it onto the other side of the field, but just really doing a nice job of having, I like to call it, being one with the ball, of just having total control over it, using the sole of his foot, the top of his foot, and did a nice job of shielding against his opponent. Both teams have done a great job of trying to keep the ball, winning the ball in the air. It's been very competitive.
Vautour, Kieran Gore clears it. But right back to Santos and Wingate, who's trying to keep it in play. They cannot. 5:45 left in the first overtime period. If nobody scores, once again, we'll have another 10-minute period before this match could potentially end in a tie. And I know it's a conference match, and sometimes the rules on that get a little fuzzy, but it's the first conference match of the year. I believe it would end in a tie, and they would not go to PKs. And now here's Wingate. They just want to win it here. They had it with Nygaard, but a nice job sending it the other way with Kieran Gore, who's down. And let's see if they stop play soon, because Gore, one of their top players, top defensive player and leader, he is down holding his knee.
Gore has absolutely been rock solid as a defender and has been a huge reason why more shots haven't been attempted.
Already without one of their team captains, Keegan Burton, Kieran Gore, one of the others, is going to get the assistance of a trainer.
He definitely looks like he is in pain.
And as we hope that Kieran is okay, we will take a little break here on the Queen Sports Network in overtime. We're tied 3-3, Queens and Wingate.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours. In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Well, Kieran Gore slowly walking off the field with the assistance of his trainers over to the Queens sideline. And not a good sign for Queens. You just want to hope that Kieran Gore is okay, because he's an outstanding player, an outstanding leader, and a pivotal player for not just tonight, but the rest of the season. And with 5:08 left to play, the clock has stopped. We're in overtime in a 3-3 game. And coming in and taking his place is a guy who's played a good amount, Darren Abbey. Hasn't played much today.
But Abby's already coming in and commanding the back line and understands the role that he has to play.
Yeah, certainly a Queens team that has depth. And Abby's going to be asked to take over for Gore. And what has been a action-packed, thrill-seeking affair.
Clearly, Abby has been very involved on the sideline because he is noticing that back post and keeping an eye on both of Wingate's midfielders that are just hanging out right back there waiting for that cross from the other side of the field to come. I like the energy that Queens has with their entire bench involved. They're all standing up. And that definitely is good for the team morale.
Yeah, a goal kick for Queens. As you can see, it's starting to rain here at the Queens Sports Complex in Dixon Field. We expected it to start raining. I think a lot of people foresaw it at halftime. It took a while, but now it is. Not overly hard, but you can see it a little bit.
A little sprinkle, nice little, rinse, nice mist to cool them down.
In this match that is prolonged into extra time.
Ooh. Felipe Mendonca was definitely being really aggressive right there.
They go to Menayese, who tries to backhead it into another Queens player, but running it down is the goalkeeper, Bogle.
That was a nice service by defender Patch. The team's resetting, getting back into their shape. And that's one responsibility a keeper has, is using your time wisely and knowing your team and what they need.
3 minutes left in this overtime period. Ahead and then falling down. I believe that was Fallen Brune. A yellow card to Boris Basara in Queens. In a match that Wingate pretty much led the whole way. They were up 2-0, and then Queens made it a 2-1 score right before the half with 18 seconds left. Wingate extended their lead to 3-1, and then Mendonca rattled off 2 goals to send it to overtime. Here is the free kick from Fallen Brune. Headed in the air, and now an opportunity to set something up for Wingate here on Queens' third of the field. Goes inside the box, deflected. Here's a shot from Rodriguez, a diving effort and a stop by Anderson.
Anderson is urging his team to calm down, settle. That was a great save by Anderson. Simple, but being able just to have that ball and now take a few moments to reset and get back into shape is good for your squad.
4th save of the day for the freshman.
Feels like he's had to do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, he's been active. And he seems like he's gotten better over the course of time. A guy who's still kind of finding his confidence in his freshman campaign really early, just the 3rd match this season. And he's already seen some wild affairs.
Those boys were wondering, from the ref, all right, who's going to call what? And you just keep playing to the whistle, because before you know it, something else is going to happen.
A Royals throw in as we're inside 2 minutes left in this overtime period. And Dingy will do the honors. Let's see how deep he can send this. All the way inside the box. Run down by Nygaard, right to Basara, to Dos Passos. And Dingy deep in the box, headed away
He was aiming
by
for that back
Vanderbrun.
post.
Yep. Dos Passos takes a rifling shot
Sent it
over
all the
everybody's
way to
head.
the woods, my goodness.
That was actually Marquez on the shot, but either way, into the woods, back in that little drive.
Not going to find that ball, I don't think.
Yeah, that might be a gunner.
They might send you to go find it.
It's likely. And here's Bogle on the goal kick. 35 seconds left in this overtime period. Dos Passos.
Finish strongly by keeping possession of the ball. Nice job of using the sideline again. But they won't be able to keep possession.
Wingate's trying, one of these teams trying to just send up a prayer before we have to go to a second overtime period. Here's a foot race for the ball. Nice defensive effort by Marshall to send it away from a charging Andre Castro. A final throw-in from Ndingi. Menayese can't get a shot off. And we are going to another 10-minute overtime period with the score locked 3-3. We will have it for you right after this break. 5-minute break. We'll be back on the Queen Sports Network.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Double overtime. Back-to-back matches on this field have gone to double overtime. Queens was victorious the first time. Now trying to do it again against Wingate in a thriller and a sack opener. No better way to start conference play than just a whole lot of it in one match. We've got another 10-minute period. First one to score a goal ends it. It's golden goal, and it's Queens and Wingate.
And bragging rights are on the table, Mike, for this rivalry. It is a close one, just right down the road from each other here in Charlotte.
The rain's starting to come down here in Charlotte. Some of the fans have had to relocate because of it, but now look at this effort from Menayese right off the kickoff. Menayese in trouble, or in traffic rather, and gets knocked down. A free kick for Queens, pretty close to the box, as he was knocked down by Fallen Brune. And Menayese, who is playing like he's got fresh legs, even after 100+ minutes of an intense, high-scoring affair. Menayese
It's like a racehorse coming out of there.
Yeah, just right from the start.
I love that type of energy and urgency.
And look who it is. It's Mendonca, who's got 2 goals to his name already. He will take it. Mendonca knocked up in the air and saved. Wonderful save that time from Bogle.
That was a beautiful save by Bogle. Perfect execution on getting that ball tipped over the top.
3rd save for him, and Mendonca's got a whole lot of confidence. I think anytime he has an opportunity, everybody kind of gets to the edge of their seat.
A little quietness for sure to see what he does with his foot and if it gets back in the net.
Inside 9 minutes left to play in the second overtime period. Here is the kick, and it's knocked away. Queens will recover it.
They're going to try to keep that ball in the attacking third.
They send it in again. It went off the head of Castro. Out of play to Wingate.
I love the energy that's being displayed by this team. I don't know what Coach said in that 2-minute break, but I really am impressed with their energy right out of the gate. I mean, Abby was all the way down there involved, and he's center back.
Kick from Bogle. Menayese trying to be the first one to it. Runs out of real estate.
He's just definitely trying to maintain that energy that he put out right at the beginning of this second overtime.
And he's played all but 10 minutes of tonight's match. Still so much energy. Goes to Alvarez. A lot of energy from Queens to start the second overtime period. Royals possession again. Mendonca off the touch. Looking to attack and try to cross it. And forcing a corner was Andre Castro.
Everybody is going to be in this box, whether you're on the offensive, defensive side of the ball. And you can hear now, Mike, the rain hitting the ground.
Passara. Tapped by Lilly. Trying to find it and then bicycle it, but slipping on this slippery turf was Castro. It just started raining. It's kind of when it's going to be the most slippery. And Castro couldn't bring that one back into play.
Can't stop science and gravity, that's for sure.
Mendonca trying to beat everyone to it, and it's Bogle who steps in there and redirects it. Queens has looked sharp in the second overtime period. They've certainly been the aggressor. And here comes Elvis Menayese. Well defended and cut off by Owen Marshall. And some physical play as Menayese and Marshall are getting into it. Not a great representation there from either team. And we'll see how the officials decide to handle this. You can tell that this is a rivalry game. This is the first conference match in a while and the first one with spectators, and two players probably took it a little further than it needed to go before the officials get a grip of this.
And that's just sometimes what happens when you've been playing over 100 minutes, and I urge both of these teams the challenge of having to remain disciplined. And you don't want to let something happen and be that dude, you know? You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, they're talking to Menayese, just trying to get him to calm down a little bit, and it seems like he has. And we'll play on in a match where both teams have shown plenty of sportsmanship, but that just a little bit of a lapse there. 5:35 to play in this double overtime period. They'll send it in. knocked away, and the Bulldogs want to counter. Rodriguez has Basara chasing him, and Basara sends it away.
Nice job of right there, shutting down and not giving any opportunity for transition for the Bulldogs to be able to move.
Rodriguez, nice play, trying to race down this sideline, get some separation, and a corner ensuing for Wingate. Rodriguez really just turned the field that time. Straight speed from Fabio. And a corner for Wingate. Trying to go home with a victory. Fallen Bruin, who has 1 goal today. Here it is. Headed, knocked away by Anderson. My goodness, what a save.
That freshman better feel really good about himself right now, Mike.
Nikolai Anderson has just really put together a nice second half of this match as it's extended into extra minutes. He surrendered 3 goals, and ever since he has made some incredible stops to keep this game going.
He's done a nice job of implementing Ted Lasso's version of having a goldfish mentality, and that's what you kind of have to do when you're a keeper.
It's a 10-second memory. He sends it a little too far right with inside 4 minutes left, and if nobody scores and we get to the end of this period, it will result in a tie. Now, I don't know how either team would feel about that, because if you're Wingate, you felt like you had a 3-1 lead, and if you're Queens, you came out with a win last week in a similar kind of match, and then I imagine you'd feel pretty good about it given you're playing against the defending conference champions, but this is not a Queens team, I can imagine, that really enjoys a tie, ever, no matter who they're playing.
I don't think any athletes like ties, Mike. They might settle for them, but they're not going to like them.
Alvarez lost his footing. It's a little slippery out. The rain coming down a little bit more. Toward the edge of the box, it bounces off the stomach of Basara. Alvarez taps it, recovered by Wingate. Spinning around is Fallen Bruin. Mendonca was trying to be the first one to it, but shoved down the field by Marshall. This could be a corner, a little nudge, and losing his footing, and that was a little, you can call it for whatever it was. It's going to be a corner for Wingate. Definitely had a push. Now everybody's sliding and slipping more than usual given the weather, but no call. So a corner for Fallen Bruin and Wingate with just inside 2.5 minutes left in this period. Trying to curve it in toward the goal, knocked away by Abby, who's checked in for Kieran Gore.
That was a beautiful clearance using his head by Abby. I definitely have admired the way that these guys have been aggressive in the air and trying to be first to the ball.
And it feels like everybody is slipping on every loose ball right now. It's probably a little more difficult to officiate, but you're right, they're letting the kids play as that little scuffle between a couple of players, Menegese and another one of the Wingate players, that kind of indicated that, they're letting them play a little bit. And we'll see how it's called the rest of the way. If there's any kind of slippage as you get closer to the box, it could be a big game changer. Heading it a couple times. Here's Alvarez, but snatching it is the goalkeeper, Bogle.
And you mentioned, Mike, about the slipperiness. And even when you're a goalkeeper, your gloves get a little bit wet, and there can be an easily mistake done just because of the fact that it's the weather. Keepers actually tend to spit on their gloves to help, keep the ball in terms of traction. But when this gets wet like this, it gets a little dangerous.
Big collision between Fallen Bruin and Ndingi, and then a rifling pass that time toward the middle, run down by Wingate and Nygaard. High lofting cross and run down by Nikolai Anderson.
Both teams attempted to go for the ball, and just like you mentioned earlier, the slipperiness definitely impacted their timing.
1 minute left in this 3-3 match in double overtime. Basara down the field, a loose ball. headed out of touch by Cooper.
These are the final seconds where you get to really see if a team can get the job done. And I'd really like to see Queens just capitalize on this last minute.
Yep, and then
They put it
unless
there.
there's a crazy counterattack for Queens, it feels like it's either win it here or end in a tie. Here is the throw in. It's knocked to the right of the goal, and 15 seconds left to try to boot it downfield for Wingate and try to get a shot off.
9, 8,
Headed toward Anderson.
6,
Anderson
5, 4,
kicks it way down the
3,
field.
2, 1.
That's it. This match
And it'll do it, ladies and
will
gentlemen.
end in a tie.
Square, 3 apiece.
And quite fitting given just how intense and how wild and how back and forth this second half was and this overtime period was. But it ends in a tie, 3-3. I don't know how either team feels about it. No one's going to smile too much. No one's going to have their heads down after this. This was as thrilling as a start to conference play as you could ever imagine.
Oh, absolutely.